Hi everyone, my name's Ercy and welcome back to my channel. In this video, I got a list for you guys. A list of books. A list of books that I plan on reading. Is that something new? I don't think so. But honestly, it's been a minute. It's been so gloomy over here, but we've just been busy doing like family stuff. But I am here to let you guys know what I plan on reading during the month of February. This is a list of very high probabilities, but what's awesome about this list is that most of the books are going to be satisfying two readathons that are going on throughout the month of February. So let's roll the intro and get on to the books. So like I said, there are two readathons going on this month. The first one I want to talk about is Blackathon. And this one is hosted by Jessie over at Bowties and Books. I will leave a link to their channel in the description box of this video if you want more information about that. But the premise of the readathon is simply to read books by Black authors in order to celebrate their work throughout Black History Month here in the United States. But some of the books on my list will be fulfilling the basic premise of Blackathon, which is just to read books by Black authors. The second readathon that I will be participating in is February She Wrote, and this hashtag was created by Ben over at Literature LoFi. So I always like how he says that in his intros. So the premise of this readathon is simply to read books by authors that uses the she, her pronouns. The majority of the books on my list will satisfy both of those readathons. Some don't, so I'll talk about those when I get to them. Let me stop rambling and just get on to the books. The first book I'm going to talk about doesn't satisfy either of the readathons. But that's Gardens of the Moon by Steven Erikson, and this is the first book of the Maza Book of the Fallen. So I received this as a gift from a Secret Santa exchange during the holiday season. I still have my little note here because I like to just remember that that's how I got it. Obviously I'm going to remember anyways, but you know what I mean. Anyways, so what is this book about? I have no idea. But the reason why I'm more interested or more excited to read this is because there is a read-along going on with this book, and there will be a live discussion that I will be a part of later on in this month. I believe it's Steve from Steve Talks Books and Stuff, Jolien from Jolien Reads. I think Philip Chase is joining the conversation. There's like a few people that are going to be reading this. I think Steve's wife is also reading this, Brandy. So that's why I'm really excited to get into this book. But this is an epic fantasy book, and there are like 10 books, so I don't know what I am thinking. Hopping on another read along with a huge series, but apparently these books are made for discussions. So I'm excited to see what the bigger picture is with these and not be so afraid of these books. But according to the back cover, there's a lot of discontent, there's a lot of bloodshed, mourning, battles, enthralling adventures, predatory gazes. So a good time, I guess. So yeah, that is the first book I plan on reading throughout this month. To make up for the fact that that book didn't satisfy either of those readathons, I have one here that satisfies both of them, and that is The Perishing by Natasha Dion. This is a work of speculative fiction, maybe some magic realism, and it was just recently published in November of 2021. Our main character is an immortal. She's living in LA, and throughout her life, she winds up drawing this picture of a man, and she winds up meeting him or seeing him. And I'm sure them meeting will be one of those things of like, will it be an explanation of who she is and what she's doing on Earth and stuff. So I'm pretty sure that's what it's gonna be. It will unlock the secrets of her existence. But it takes place in LA. She's a reporter. She's the main protagonist is a Black woman, and it is written by a Black woman as well. So there you go. Natasha Dion's The Perishing. Last physical book that I plan on getting to this month will be The Song of Susanna by Stephen King. This is book 6 of the Dark Tower series. Now, I know nothing about this simply because I am still in the middle of Wolves of Wakala as of the time that I am recording this video. So I haven't read the premise, I haven't read anything. I just have it because I got it at a library sale for $4. So I have the book ready. It's on deck. Like, I'm ready to get into it. So once I finish off The Perishing, I'm just gonna hop right into this one as far as like a physical read. And this obviously doesn't satisfy either of the readathons because it is written by a white man. But yeah, the series has been really great so far. Obviously, I'm 4.5 books in. I'm having a really good time with this series. It's very character focused. There is adventures and stuff going on, but this is a character driven series, and I'm really enjoying it because of that. I guess I'm a character driven reader. So yeah, Song of Susanna by Stephen King will be the last physical book I definitely plan on getting to towards the end of February. Let's get into the audiobooks because I have a few here that I'm really excited to read, and some of them are pretty new. This one will be satisfying both readathons for Blackathon and February She Wrote, and it is Sankofa by Chibundi Onuzo. So my library had the audiobook available for this one, so I already have it on my phone. Once I finish off Wolves of the Kala, I will be diving straight into Sankofa. So essentially this book is about a woman whose mother just recently passed away. Our main character, what's her name? Anna, discovers some papers or notebook entries or journal entries which give clues as to the potential identity of her father who has never been in her life. And it winds up being this guy who just so happens to be a dictator in Africa. Like, what? So she travels to Africa to learn about her identity and possibly interact with this man, and I'm assuming there's going to be lots of big themes in terms of freedom and politics, racial identity, heritage. So it sounds like a really cool book, and I'm really interested in reading this one because it just sounds right up my alley. And it satisfies both of the readathons, so bonus right there. After I finish that audiobook, I'm gonna hop into The Other Black Girl by Zakiya Dahlia Harris. And this book, my library also has it available, so I already have it on my phone too. So once I finish Sankofa, I'm just gonna dive right into this one. And this one also satisfies both readathons as well. And this one is dubbed as a mystery thriller kind of book with Get Out and Stepford Wives vibes, which sounds really cool. But I feel like a lot of books nowadays, they're always talking about like, it's Get Out, which I love. I love that movie. That movie was crazy. But you don't need to say that everything is like Get Out vibes. Maybe it is, I don't know. But anyways, this book is about two women that are working in New York City publishing, and which is a white male dominated field. So they kind of stick out. They're kind of on their own, and they find companionship with each other or friendship with one another until one of them leaves. And then all of a sudden the one that's still there, she winds up getting like these notes that's telling her to like leave. So maybe it is kind of like Get Out vibes. I take that back. So she gets these notes that's telling her to like leave, and she has to figure out where these notes are coming from, what's going on. Is there like some kind of conspiracy going on? I don't know, but it sounds really cool. I don't want to get into much details because it is a thriller, and I feel like people give away more than they intend whenever they talk about thrillers. So I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that here in this video, but I'm really interested in reading this book. The next book that I'm going to talk about that satisfies both readathons is Medical Apartheid: The Dark History of Medical Experimentation on Black Americans from Colonial Times to the Present. Now, I know this book is going to make me upset, but I want to read it anyways. I mean, this subject is no surprise to me. I studied history, so this isn't new information for me. Maybe the details and what's some of the revelations that they're going to talk about throughout the book, but the general subject of medical experimentation on Blacks and minorities, this is not something that is new. This is something that has been happening throughout history. Maybe it's a surprise to other people that did not know about this, but many advancements in the medical field are due mostly in part to the exploitation of Black people and other minorities throughout history. It is a very upsetting topic. However, my library had it available and I snagged it up. One I might get to towards the end of the month, which will satisfy February She Wrote, is Violeta by Isabel Allende. Now this one, I'm still on the hold list at my library, but it says I have about 3 weeks to get to my turn of getting the book. So I'm really, really excited about this one. It sounds so good. It's tagged on Goodreads as historical fiction and magical realism, but I'm pretty sure it's just historical fiction, and the tag for magical realism is just because of who the author is and her role in the magical realism genre. So I don't know if this book is magical realism or not, but if it is, cool. Like I like magical realism, but I really think this one's more like historical fiction. But I'm pretty sure this one is about a woman named Violeta and her life and how it coincides with major events in history and her role in those things, I guess. So maybe sort of like Forrest Gump-ish vibes. You know what I mean? Like Forrest Gump, he's just going on through life, and then he just so happens to be in these major major movements throughout history, or these major events throughout history, and like how his role was in it. So I'm obviously not like Forrest Gump, but in this woman's life. You get what I'm saying? This is not a new thing, is I guess what I'm trying to say, but I really do like that theme. Forrest Gump is one of my favorite movies, I guess because of that. So I'm really excited to see how this is done in this book. I'm pretty sure I'm like the only person that is going to compare this to Forrest Gump. I don't know what's wrong with me, but either way, I'm really excited to read this one. Last one that I will mention as far as audiobooks that will satisfy February She Wrote is 10 Days in a Madhouse by Nellie Bly. Now this one's a very short audiobook, maybe like 3 hours long, about roughly. And I've been wanting to read this one for years. I've read about it, but I've never actually read it. And what this book is pretty much this woman's experience, Nellie Bly. She was a reporter, and her experience with going undercover in an insane asylum. I get tongue-tied. But I think that's really cool of her to do that and put herself in that position. But what she uncovers is really disturbing. The abuses that she was able to uncover and her ability to create this sort of expose on her 10 days in this insane asylum. My library, again, had it readily available for my reading pleasure. So it's on my phone already. So whenever I get a chance, I'm gonna go through that one very soon. Okay, last book I am for sure reading this month or throughout the month on my brand new Kindle is More Than a Vampire by J.R. Carroll. My husband really came through during the holidays and he purchased a Kindle for me. I'm really excited about this. My wrists have never been happier reading on a Kindle, because I mean, imagine just lifting this and holding this compared to holding this. This Stephen King book is so large. Anyways, so I'm really getting used to this format, but I will say that I am missing seeing my bookmark travel along the book. I think it's fun to see like how much you have left, but I think the newer way of doing it is just seeing that percentage on the bottom go up and up and up. Right now I am 5% into this book, so not much. I'm only like 2 or 3 chapters into this book, and I am reading this because I actually had the pleasure of joining in on the discussion with J.R. Carroll, his name is Joseph, during our discussion of Wizard and Glass, which was held over on Maza Booktuber's channel. So Joseph was part of that conversation, so I was able to talk Stephen King with him there, but he did mention that he wrote this book, so I wound up just purchasing it for my Kindle right after I got this for the holidays. So I'm really excited to be doing that. It's pretty good so far. I'm only like a couple chapters in, and obviously it's about vampires. It's sort of like a romance, epic adventure kind of vibes that I'm seeing here, but the first chapter was more like the introduction into this book and the 2 main characters. But the second chapter and the third chapter is kind of going through like vampire history, and it's really interesting, and like Dracula's role in like creating these clans for the vampires that our two main characters are going to be a part of. So it sounds really cool. So I'm assuming this one's going to be a lot of world building. It's a first in the series, but I don't know if this is the only one that's out right now. I think it is. So I'm just looking forward to seeing more works by this author. And he was a really nice guy. I'm excited to be supporting him. He was really cool and down to earth in our discussions of the Stephen King books. So I'm looking forward to interacting more with this author because he seems like a really cool guy. So those are all of the books that I definitely plan on getting to this month. Hopefully, fingers crossed, if all things go well, especially with the audiobooks. The audiobooks I feel like can come and go. They definitely just kind of go with my vibes. But as far as the physical books and the Kindle book, those are definite reads that I'm going to be doing. But I do have 2 more books that I want to talk about that are lower down on the priority list. But if I get to them, cool. If not, they'll probably be rollovers for next month. And the first one I'm going to talk about is Stormfront by Jim Butcher. And this is the first book of the Dresden Files. Now, this is an urban fantasy about this wizard detective, and he fights monsters and vampires and lots of dark stuff. Maybe like supernatural vibes or like angel vibes. Angel, that I think it'd be more closely related to Angel, but he's like a wizard. Obviously, you can tell I don't know much about it, but this is my husband's favorite series. He has been asking me to read these books so that way we can discuss them together over here at home. And obviously, I'll talk to you guys about my feelings about them because it seems to be a very popular series that everyone that has been reading it is really enjoying. From what I've heard, it's like you gotta push through the first couple books and then he really gets into his stride, and then like the books later on in the series are really amazing. Lots of character building. So I'm excited to read it, if not just for the sake of talking about it with my husband, because like I said, this is his favorite series and he already has almost all of them on Audible, so I'll just log into his account and listen to them there. But the next one I want to talk about is The Idiot by Fyodor Dostoevsky. I talked about this a little bit in December. I wound up returning that copy to the library, but I can just always pick it up. There is a read along with the Codex Cantina and Leslie from the Nerdy Narrative. They're going to be reading this throughout the month of February and March. So I have a little bit of time to read it, but I mostly want to get into this book in order to participate in the discussions that they're going to be having on Discord. It's always fun to interact with other booktubers, right? But I definitely want to join in on the discussion, as well as get into some Dostoevsky, because obviously his works have stood the test of time and I have not read any of them. So so I definitely want to just get into it. But there you have it. That is my pile of February possibilities. I'm glad to be joining in on Blackathon and February She Wrote. I will leave links to both channels, Bowties and Books and Literature LoFi, and anyone else that I mentioned throughout this video. But let me know what you guys plan on reading this month. If you plan on participating in either of those readathons, what books do you plan on reading this month if you're not participating in it at all? I would still love to hear what you guys plan on reading. I love getting recommendations from other people, so just let me know what you guys are up to this month. But that is going to be it for now. I hope you guys consider subscribing, giving a like to this video if you enjoyed it. I hope you all have an amazing day, and I will talk to you all soon. Bye.